If something was so catastrophic that we did have to draft people, why shouldn't women go? But why bring it up in an election year are my two questions.
Well, first of all, we shouldn't have a draft.
At all?
No, I don't think so.
What if it's an emergency?
Well, the fact that they're bringing this up now, to me, points to the fact that the only reason we would need a draft is because our warmongering politicians are starting wars that they know the American people aren't going to support.
Bill Maher is back to getting absolutely destroyed on his own show, Real Time with Bill Maher. This time, it's with Tulsi Gabbard. And Bill Maher is starting to sound like an absolute neocon. He's starting to sound exactly like people like Ben Shapiro and Dave Rubin and the rest of those guys that just want to, maximize the foreign aid that we're giving out, especially to certain countries that Ben Shapiro likes very much. And also maximize the amount of war across the globe, including the amount of war that America is directly involved in. And Tulsi Gabbard went on Real Time with Bill Maher and absolutely schooled Bill Maher on all of these talking points that he seems to share with people like Ben Shapiro, the Daily Wire, and the rest of the neocons out there. Let's check out this clip here of Tulsi Gabbard on Real Time with Bill Maher, absolutely demolishing Bill Maher in this clip.
I don't know why, but we're here with Chris Matthews and Tulsi Gabbard, and the first question is to you. Tulsi, should women be required to register for the military draft? I saw this. This is so interesting. The Democrats, so great at politics. I don't know why they brought it up now. I mean, men, I almost forgot this. Men do still have to register for the draft. Nobody gets...
Well, this is actually something that they also just changed in the legislation through the National Defense Authorization Act. Just a few weeks ago, is now men don't have to register because they're automatically registering them as soon as they turn 18.
Okay.
So you don't have to actually, you don't get to fill out a card or anything anymore.
But I remember I was about to be registered when I just turned 17 in 1973 when they were still drafting for Vietnam, and it was like that was the year. It was like, oh, we're not. Oh, it's like, oh boy, did I luck out on that one. But they still registered you. Now the Democrats in an election year have brought this up for I don't know what reason, saying now we want women to register because there's 250,000 women in the military right now.
It is really odd, right? Like Bill, that's a good point. Like a lot of people were freaking out when they saw this, but something that's even more strange is normally in an election year, especially, the Democrats will be focused on just doing things that they always promise to do and at least act like they're doing things or trying to do things that they've promised to do. And that's how they got elected. But this election year, they did something that nobody asked for. In fact, I would think that they would be the party that tries to go the other direction in protecting women, I guess. I mean, it's hard to tell. They're always like the pro-women party, but at the same time, they always try to push women into like, the going along with the feminist propaganda saying that women can just be men. And I guess it does kind of fit the left and Democrats to try to put women in the draft. It's just strange that they would try to do that in an election year when they're trying to get reelected. And literally nobody wants that. Left, right, center, doesn't matter. Nobody wants women in the draft. Nobody.
And if something was so catastrophic that we did have to draft people, why shouldn't women go? But why bring it up in an election year are my two questions.
Well, first of all, we shouldn't have a draft.
At all?
No, I don't think so.
What if it's an emergency?
Well, the fact that they're bringing this up now, to me, points to the fact that the only reason we would need a draft is because our warmongering politicians are starting wars that they know the American people aren't going to support. When you look at what happened after
they
the
didn't
attack
start.
1,000% correct by Tulsi Gabbard there. 1,000% correct. Nowadays, in modern times, that's 99% of the time going to happen, right? It's not going to be a war that we somebody just randomly attacked America and now we need backup from our citizens. It's like, that's probably not going to happen. It's mostly going to be fought through proxy wars. The only reason why the American government would have to, do a draft would be because America has inserted itself into too many proxy wars and they've escalated so much that we now need help from our citizens, our everyday citizens who are not combat trained and stuff like that. Tulsi Gabbard is 100% correct. That's the only, because right now, if there was a draft right now, like if the U.S. government came out and said, guys, we're in too many wars right now, we're spread too thin, we don't have enough troops, we need people who are willing to fight for this country, and we're going to have to go ahead and do a draft. I'm not going. I'll take whatever the alternative consequence is because I'm not fighting for Joe Biden's America. It's not happening, because what are we really fighting for at that point? It's not something that's worth fighting for, in my opinion. I know a lot of people are going to get mad at that, but this country's not worth fighting for. It's not worth dying for. You could probably see that. Not right now, anyway. Maybe in the past it was, and maybe in the future it will be again, but not right now.
The wars.
Well, when you
They
look at what
didn't-
happened, you look at what happened after the attack on Pearl Harbor. Thousands and thousands of people from all across the country set aside their lives and volunteered because they wanted to go and fight for freedom and security and for peace. And you look at what happened after the attack on 9/11. So many Americans like myself, we enlisted to be able to ensure the safety, security, and freedom of the American people. And so when you look, to me, it's a big red flag that they're bringing this up right now. First of all, as we have multiple wars burgeoning around the world. But as a you know, I've been deployed 3 times to different war zones. I don't want to be in a foxhole next to somebody who doesn't want to be there. First of all, that bond and that trust that exists between servicemen and women who are, you know, when bullets are flying is so essential. You don't want to have somebody next to you who's like, hey, I don't want to be here. I don't want any part of this. That
Sometimes it's
creates
just numbers.
a huge problem.
Come on. Sometimes
well,
it's just
you're talking about life and death.
I mean
you're talking about life and death.
I know, but exactly. And if we need that numbers of troops, they just are. The people in Gen Z, they're not going to volunteer. I've seen videos of them talking about it. I'm like, no, you're right. This generation can't do it. The number of people you're going to have is just going to be, it's going to be a smaller force. I mean, compared to, I mean, how many, there's over 1 billion Chinese people if the war breaks out with them. I mean, I don't want to get cataclysmic about this.
These wars don't just happen out of thin air. I think that's my point.
No, but we didn't start them. We didn't invade Ukraine and we didn't attack Israel. That's a silly thing to say.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
No, we didn't initiate these wars, but we are stoking the flames. We are inserting ourselves in these wars that we don't need to insert ourselves in. I know you're going to say, oh, but they're allies. It's like they have other allies as well, and they're not as inserted into these wars as we are. It seems like we're kind of, we're like making these wars our own. And it's not just the government, but it's also the American people are making these wars our own. We're having protests on college campuses on what, if you're pro Ben Shapiro's favorite country or pro Palestine, you know, we had people all across, like I go jogging every day and I would see a lot of flags popping up whenever Russia first invaded Ukraine. I'll see Ukraine flags hanging up in front of people's houses instead of American flags. We start inserting ourselves into these wars that have nothing to do with us. They have nothing to do with us, dude. So Bill Maher is completely correct. We didn't start the Ukraine war. We didn't start the war between Palestine and Ben Shapiro's favorite country. We didn't start those wars, but we inserted ourselves in them, and now we're part of them. We're part of those wars. And it, of course, starts with the government. Like they make those decisions, they call those shots, but it also is on the citizens a little bit as well, especially people, warmongers like the neocons out there, like Ben Shapiro and Dave Rubin and all these guys from the Daily Wire. You know, Bill Maher starting to sound just like them, exactly like them.
Iraq War was coming right out of the Dick Cheney's office.
That's true.
Oh, but that war.
That's true.
Yeah, that
Okay,
one.
well, that's not Biden.
Well, that's 200,000 dead people over there and 4,000 of our people. And that was created by the neocons and Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
They did it. They did it in the op-ed pages of our major newspapers. They started the war and they enjoyed it.
They did.
What do you make of Donald Trump promising that if elected, he would secure the release of the Wall Street Journal reporter who is being tried for espionage in Russia? I mean, you know, of course he's going to say that.
I will go to Moscow. Come on. I mean, it's like Ike. It's right on the history books. Like, how's he going to do it? And who knows? He's not going to do it.
Well, he could do it because Putin, look, if he made it part of the Ukraine deal.
Oh, yeah, a party favor?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you know what he's going to do with Ukraine. He's going to say to them, look, Putin gets a piece.
Would you have you keep, right?
Which honestly might be the only way that war ever ends. How do you think that war should end?
The war, and I've said this from the very beginning, the only way that this war ends is through some kind of a negotiated treaty. That's it. That's been true from the very beginning.
Does that mean giving up Ukrainian land?
It means, I think, both sides, like in all treaties, will end up having to surrender some portion of what they want in order to achieve that peace treaty. The sad thing is that it is the Ukrainian people and their lives who are being expended the longer this war goes on, even though those who are actually paying attention know that this is only ever going to end at any point with that negotiated peaceful outcome.
The danger.
I guess that's one way it could end. I don't know if that's the only way that it could ever end, because it could also end in, like, you know, catastrophe for the entire planet if the flames of that war and other wars keep getting stoked like America is doing. The only reason why Ukraine is even able to fight back against Russia is because of the support that America is giving them. You know, we're giving them all kinds of weapons, all kinds of money. And whenever Zelensky runs out of people to dupe into going fight for him, where do you think they're going to go next for people to fight for them? It's going to be us. They're going to try to get Americans to go over there. And like I said, I'm saying no. Why the hell would I do that? You know, and I don't think there's many people out there that would say yes. I'll take the alternative. I'll take the jail time or whatever, the fine. I'll pay it. I don't care. You know, I'll take that. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think about Bill Maher getting schooled once again on his own show, Real Time with Bill Maher. I thought Tulsi Gabbard did an absolutely great job. And I think that I've been praising Bill Maher a lot for some things that he's been saying. This is sounding just like what Ben Shapiro and the neocons say. So maybe he's coming over to the conservative side, but he's not coming over to the right part of the conservative side. It seems like he's going the neocon route. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments if you completely disagree. If you did enjoy the video, though, please leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I hope to see you guys on the next one.